What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Nate Schmidt. We're back with another week of knowledge drops. Ecom Dispensary, y'all know the deal. Scotty, what's going on, my dude? How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. A lot better than last week, that's for sure.
Yeah, what ended up happening with that? Did you just feel better? It wasn't an actual sickness?
Yeah, I mean, I felt better the next day, so I don't really know.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. Well, this week we got of course, some pretty fire episodes for y'all. In this first one, this should be number 74. We're talking about why it's all about the who. This is not a crazy new concept by any means, but I think it's something that people don't really understand, something that people tend to lose track of. And it's literally probably the most important part of e-commerce, I would say. And what got me thinking about this was basically me and Scotty are in the process right now of starting a new brand. We're running the initial tests right now. We just did the first round of tests a few days ago, and we're running another second round of tests to make sure. And then we'll probably end up building out the brand. The results have been pretty solid so far. It's been profitable, like right off the bat, which I don't know about you, Scotty, but that's fairly rare when it comes to testing a product in a new store. It's not all that often that it's profitable right off the bat. But so far, this has been. And to be completely honest, I basically knew, I was extremely confident before we had even started running any ads that this was going to work. I was extremely confident that this was just going to work right off the bat. And there's a reason for that. And that reason is the entire topic of this episode. It's because it's all about the who. So you gotta understand, like, one thing that when people are thinking about starting a business, like the number one question people ask themselves is like, well, what should I sell? Obviously, that's a pretty important question. You need to sell something if you're gonna start a business. But people tend to skip over, who am I going to sell to? And in my opinion, and Scotty, I think this is probably gonna be your opinion as well, the who of who you're actually going to be selling to is much more important than the what, or at the very least, it comes first in terms of, like, the order in which that you do it.
Yep, 100%. It comes first. It's funny, we've been talking about different ideas for brands we can start. And we always kind of had this idea, and it was just kind of on the on the back burner because we knew it was going to work. We just wanted to see if we had a better idea. So it's kind of funny how it's turned out that it just worked right off the bat.
Yeah. And obviously, we're not counting our chickens before they hatch. We haven't built this whole brand out and scaled it to big numbers quite yet. Though I do imagine that that's probably what's on the menu. I do think that that's probably what's going to happen. Pretty exciting, honestly, because me and Scotty for the last year or so have been running one main brand, and I think now we're finally ready to start branching out and start another brand, which is always very exciting. New ventures. It's fun stuff, man. It's fun stuff. So, what does this mean exactly? It's all about the who. Well, I'll start by kind of talking about why I was so confident that this was going to work right off the bat, why we kind of just knew that this was going to work. Part of it, I'll be honest, is based off of previous knowledge of our current brand. That what we've learned running that brand has really helped us to nail this down and, basically realize that this is something that's worth doing. But besides that, I mean, really the main thing is that who we're targeting is just a great market. It's extremely, extremely specific. I want to give as much detail as I can without, like, giving away the exact thing that we're doing. I don't know, Scott. I mean, how would you describe it? How would you describe, like, in terms of the specificity of it without giving it away?
I mean, it's just a very clear need that bigger companies maybe don't want to fulfill because it's a massive pain in the ass for them and it's a niche need. So if
Mm-hmm.
we come in and fulfill that niche need, people will flock to us.
It is. It's a. I like the way you put that. It's a niche need, and it's underserved in the marketplace. There are a lot of options for similar products for like a more general market, I guess you could say. But there are very few options for this type of product in this specific market. And it's not the biggest market. I mean, I would say it's considerably smaller than the market for our main brand. The thing about that though, and this is another kind of misconception I think people have, is like, you know, if I want to make a bunch of money, I need to be able to sell to the largest amount of people, because the more people that I can potentially sell to, then the more money I can potentially make. And that does make kind of like logical sense if you don't have any experience in business. But once you get some experience in business, you realize that it actually works the exact opposite of that. It's not about reaching everyone. And in fact, in reaching everyone, there's a quote that goes something along the lines of, you know, in trying to be for everyone, you end up being for no one. So we're not trying to be for everyone. We're going after a very, very specific subset of people in this market. And we're just showing them a targeted offer that's something that they need. This isn't like a cool, trendy product or anything. This is just like a basic, essential product that people need. And we're targeting it towards a very specific group of people. And we're putting all of our marketing and all of our messaging in terms that are likely to resonate with them.
100%. 100%. I think this idea is almost guaranteed to work. I'm not 100% convinced yet that the specific product we're using is going to be the one, but the idea is a winner. Because the market is so good, because the market is so specific and so underserved.
Yeah. And I really want to give some sort of example to like illustrate this, because I understand, like, for you guys listening to this probably sounds like kind of vague, like, okay, get very specific, go after an underserved market, you know, sell something that people need, that people are already buying. Like, that sounds nice, but it's kind of vague. I'm trying to think of like how we can kind of illustrate this in a way that's a bit more, I guess you might say, illustrative, without, you know, as much as I would love to tell you guys exactly what it is, that's just like not a smart move on our part.
I mean, I think it's pretty simple. It's find a big market or a huge company or a huge product, read through the reviews and find out what people wish were different, and see if there's a specific group of people that would like a different feature on this product or a different type of this product. So if you've got a general product, like, I don't know, some sort of outdoor accessory type product, like an outdoorsy type product, a tent or whatever. And people generally like the tent, and loads of different people use the tent. People use it for camping, people use it for festivals, people use it for whatever the fuck else you use tents for. And then maybe you see that while this tent is good, all the people that use it for going to music festivals wish something were different. So then you would try and find a tent that is a better suited specifically for that group of people that wants to use it for going to a festival.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty solid example. And that's pretty much exactly how we found this market and, you know, this product, is by doing research from, you know, like just existing products in the market, in like the kind of more general market, and looking at the comments, looking at what people are looking for, looking at, you know, what they say that they wish this product did. And then it turns out that there's a specific subset of people in this market that all kind of have the same problem and are all kind of looking for the same thing. And there's not a whole lot of companies out there that are offering a product that satisfies their needs. And we figured out a way to do that. And I mean, it's honestly pretty, like, I don't know, it's pretty crazy that the results have been as good as they have been in these initial tests, because everything was just so like quickly thrown together. There was not like, I don't know, there wasn't like a whole lot of thought that went into it, I guess, beyond the, you know, the initial concept of what we're doing. But we didn't spend a whole lot of time on the product page or the content or the ads. You know, a lot of it is just pretty, I don't want to say it's cookie cutter, but it's not like anything crazy or new or anything. But the results have been really solid, because it's not about all that other kind of like fancy stuff, like, you know, the way that you design your product page. I mean, these things do come into play, but it's really about who you're selling to and just finding a specific group of people who need something that they might not be able to find super easily with, in terms of like the general market of that product. I think there's a lot of opportunities out there like that.
100%. There definitely are. I'm always hesitant. I wonder how much opportunity there really is and how much there's just you need to find sort of the key opportunities. Like, I don't know how many potential e-com brands you could start with dropshipping that will scale to multiple million a year. Probably a lot, but like, I don't know how many. Like, is it in the thousands? Is it in the hundreds, in the dozens? I don't know.
I think it's definitely at least in the hundreds. I reckon it's probably in the thousands.
Maybe. I don't know. It's tough. The thing is, any one person is always going to have such a limited number of like big stores by definition, because if they have a lot of big stores, then those are just normal stores. Those are no longer big stores to them. You know what I mean? So whatever your biggest success is, I always wonder like how many more of those could you have? Could the smaller stores be just as successful, or is there something fundamentally about those markets, products, whatever, that doesn't allow them to scale to the same level?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely nuance there, and there's a lot that can go into it. Um, some products are more evergreen than others. If you have a consumable product, that obviously has more potential to, to scale over time than something that people just buy once and then don't need again. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things that can go into it, but the whole thing that I think like the concept that people don't really understand is just how few people it takes to buy from you for you to make a really great living. And this is something that I've talked about before. It's really hard for people, just us as humans, to conceptualize the sheer number of people that are on this freaking planet that are even just in the US and have like solid incomes that are impulse buying things from Facebook ads. It's a lot of freaking people. And like your brain, if you try to picture 50,000 people, you can picture 50,000 people. Okay. That's like the size of like a large stadium. But then if you go beyond that, the difference when you're conceptualizing, say, 500,000 people versus 5 million people, it's very difficult for your brain to like see a huge difference in that, because it's just such a big number. Like our brains just aren't wired to be able to like comprehend numbers that large. And people think that they need to have a bunch of, like a huge market of people to sell to in order for them to make money. When in reality, you don't need that much at all. Like you really don't need that many people to sell to. I mean, we could break down some rough numbers. I think I'll probably refrain from that because math is certainly not my strong suit. But like, for example, my first store that did well, that did 1.5 million in sales, I think that it had a total of like 30,000 customers or something, which is not a small amount of people. But it's also, in the grand scheme of things, of how many people there are to sell to in the US, I mean, it's minuscule. I barely freaking tapped, 0.01% of the potential market that I could have. And that's the thing, is like, you don't need to go after everyone. You just need to go after a specific subset of people. And it could be not that big of a group of people, thousands, I mean, most things are going to have at least tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands to millions of people. And if you can find something that is very specific and you make it just for them, you target everything towards that type of person, it's going to resonate with them so much more than it would if you were just kind of the general company selling this XYZ product, but it's for anyone. And that's kind of one of the main secrets of like our method of marketing, our method of e-commerce. It's all about getting very specific in who you sell to, so that when people that you're showing your ads to see your ads, they're like, oh my God, like this is literally made exactly for me. And when people feel like that, when they see your ads, that just increases the likelihood of you being successful by 1,000-fold.
100%, 100%.
I mean, I think that's kind of the gist, man. Scotty, what else do you got to add to this? It's all about the freaking WHO, not the WHO. Yeah, man. All my homies hate the WHO. It's all about the WHO.
You better get us banned from YouTube.
Jesus Christ.
What else we got to add? I think that's about it.
So important. Seriously, like one of the cornerstones of our strategy, why what we do actually tends to work sometimes.
Occasionally.
Sometimes, on occasion, it does work. It does make money. And just keep this in mind, guys. Like this took me a bit of like rewiring of my brain when I was first getting into ecom. I think this is really one of the key things that when you're first getting into business, there's certain things that you just tend to think are common sense that just it works the complete opposite in business. Like this is a great example of something like that where you think you need a big group of people, but really you don't. Really, you actually want to minimize the amount of people that you're trying to sell to as opposed to maximize it. And I know it sounds kind of crazy. But just trust me on this one. Just take my word for it. The more specific of a market that you go after, the more likely you are to be successful. And that's it.
100%. 100%.
Well, with all that said, folks, I think that'll do it for this episode. We'll talk to y'all in the next one.